is KNWA Today in HD.
Welcome back to KNWA Today. Joining us now this morning is Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, first of all. So let's just talk about your legal opinion that you announced on open carry here in Arkansas. So the big question, is open carry legal in the state of Arkansas?
Right. On Friday, we handed down an opinion that basically states that an individual may carry as long as he or she does so without the intent to attempt to unlawfully use that weapon against another person.
Because that was a lot of the confusion, was that word unlawfully, and people wondering, you know, can I not?
Sure.
And it kind of differed from county to county. So why do you think it was important to hand down that opinion?
Since the law was passed in 2013, there's been confusion between law enforcement officials and Arkansans, so we wanted to clarify that. Unfortunately, it was not taken up during this past legislative session. So this opinion was to offer clarity, but it's also to make sure that businesses know that they can still post a sign, that if an individual may not carry, if they have a sign poster, if they've asked them to leave, that you can still protect your private property, that a law enforcement official may still ask questions if you are carrying and to determine culpability, and to ensure that Arkansans and law enforcement are on the same page.
Absolutely. Going to be one of my questions too, that officers can ask if they do see you open carry, they are still able to ask you.
Absolutely, and I think that's important for Arkansans to understand if they decide to carry.
Absolutely. Now, do you think that this topic should be brought up in the next legislative session as well?
Certainly. I think this law, as any others, if there is need for clarification, should be done by the legislature. That's what the legislators are elected to write the laws. I'm elected to enforce and defend the law.
Absolutely. Now, you were saying you had a very busy weekend this weekend. Open carry has been one of those huge topics, but what else have you and your office been working on this weekend?
Well, this past weekend, we were everywhere from Batesville to Blytheville and here in northwest Arkansas. This week, we're going to be having mobile offices and roundtable discussions throughout northwest Arkansas, and so we're excited to be here in this part of the state in Rogers talking about agriculture, talking with the poultry industry about the latest Waters of the U.S. rule, which we were excited to receive an injunction. The federal district court granted an injunction against the EPA, which we had asked for the implementation of that rule. So we are doing everything we can at the Attorney General's office to protect Arkansans from criminals, from con artists, scam artists, as well as an overreaching federal government, such as what we saw with the EPA and the Waters of the U.S. rule.
And for folks that don't know, kind of explain in layman's terms what that rule is.
Sure. The Waters of the U.S. rule essentially would cover nearly all water in Arkansas. So not just our row crop farmers or cattle farmers, but all Arkansans. And so it went beyond the scope of what Congress intended, what the Supreme Court had stated, because it covered streams and ditches. It's a 370-page rule. How can we expect our farmers and landowners to read a nearly 400-page rule to determine whether or not their land falls within the jurisdiction of the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers? The federal judge agreed with Arkansas and the other 12 states and has an injunction on that rule. It was a big victory for the state of Arkansas and for agriculture.
Yes, and now also briefly to touch, I know one of your mobile offices was here in northwest Arkansas, so for folks who are interested in that, tell them a little bit about that and what's available for them there.
We started the mobile offices to be in counties around the state, so that way a family from Siloam Springs or Eureka Springs or Fayetteville wouldn't have to travel to downtown Little Rock in order to have a face-to-face conversation with someone from the Attorney General's office about a scam or a potential scam. So these mobile offices, we have staff that travel around the state. We announce it through local media, such as you all, and,
yes.
and to cover when we will be in the area. And I believe that we're going to have some in the area in September 10th.
Yes, that is right. And it's definitely a great way for your office to get involved in the northwest Arkansas community and just all across the state of Arkansas, like you said. For those folks maybe in more rural areas, especially here in northwest Arkansas, they don't have to make the trek to the state's capital. They can have that interaction right here in their own city.
That's right. My niece and nephew attend Gravette, and so
yes.
I'm in that area quite a bit, and I want to make sure that individuals in Gravette or Gentry don't have to travel to downtown Little Rock to speak to someone to get help with their issues.
Absolutely. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time. It is now time, though, to bring in meteorologist Heidi Wagner.